Good evening, everybody. This is a review of the fifth Test match at the Oval, which completed recently. An epic drawn series against England, against all odds. It was a great advert for Test cricket. The series was drawn 2-2, which means under Stokes and McCullum, England have played 3 series against India and Australia and won none of them. England have not won a series against either nation since 2018.
Yeah, what a draw in the end. So I was watching the final day. SIRAJ, needing 35 on the last day. The fourth day, you were saying that it's done when Brook and Root were in getting the hundreds, but there was a feeling on the last day. So just needed 35 4 wickets. The rain came, but India were really up for it. They were getting wickets towards the end, 6 down. I thought India were should have carried on because it was England that got away with it. I think you were saying that India benefited them with the rest overnight.
Yeah, I felt that India had the momentum on the Sunday when they had a full house there, and unfortunately the rain came and due to bad light they were unable to continue. England still needing 35 runs and India needing, I believe it was 6 wickets at the time. Yes?
India needed 4 wickets.
4,
so it was 6 down.
4 wickets at the time, and also gave India the opportunity to have a rest. Their bowlers were tired, and also plan ahead for the Monday morning, and try and execute their plans, and that's exactly what they did the next day on Monday. They came out and they knew which bowlers to use in terms of Siraj and Rashid Krishna, and they got an early wicket, which put a bit of pressure on England, and I was pleased. India managed to get over the line. I think defeat at the Oval laid bare how crucial Stokes is to the England side's fortunes. Clearly, he didn't play in the fifth Test match, and he's been key for them from the bowling and batting point of view. I think they severely missed him.
Yeah, I mean, it could have gone either way. It was only a loss by 6 runs in the end. India's narrowest win ever, but it was a fitting result in the end. So I think for a series of like that, India definitely didn't deserve to lose. Perhaps you could say England didn't deserve to lose as well. India could have won the series actually, even the first Test match and then the third one at Lord's. So they could have been 4-0 from India's point of view. But what a series! What an advert for Test cricket, and I think they lacked Stokes. Do you think with Stokes they would have won that? Would have been different?
I think Stokes is a key player, and with him in the sides, it gives great balance, particularly the bowling, and certainly in the fourth Test match, which we were at Old Trafford, he managed to get a big 100, so that made a huge difference. In terms of India winning just by 6 runs was the closest victory in their Test history. However, this was well deserved. I think a 2-2 is a fair reflection. And this shows how passionate both sides are. India's team in the new era, their motto is never give up, and that's exactly how they played throughout the whole series. They had the opportunities when I thought they were ahead, and they won more sessions overall in the 5 series. But the key moments, I think this is where they lost out. But don't forget, this was Shubman Gill's first Test series as a captain, and he would have taken a lot away. He would have learnt a lot, and he would have taken a lot away, not just with his responsibility. Overall, Shubman Gill scoring 754 runs, the most ever by an Indian in a series with England. And KL Rahul finishing the series, having played all 5 Test matches, with 532 runs, the second largest tally for an Indian opener in England, only behind Sunil Gavaskar. So a senior player and he showed great responsibility and sharing the leadership burden with Shubman Gill. So players like Rahul and obviously Mohammad Siraj, were key to the Indian team going forward, because even Jadeja needs a mention with. Did he score five
550s in a row?
550s in a row, which is a great accolade for a middle order batsman, and without his runs, India clearly wouldn't have been there. So overall, it was a great series.
Yeah,
really enjoyed, and we were lucky to be part of this series when we were at the Old Trafford Test match.
Yeah, Jaddu was an unsung hero, because I remember you saying they could drop him. You can't drop him. His wickets, his runs. Obviously, his fielding wasn't up to the usual par, but he's got the temperament to dig in. Yeah? Him and Wash at the end. Don't forget Wash's 4 sixes, and then they won in the end by 6 runs. So you were saying that quick flurry to get 54. At the end where India got the lead of 374 or whatever it was. You said had they only got 320 or 350, it wouldn't have been enough in the end. So and Pope looked like Ed Sheeran. Like he looks like Ed Sheeran. So he lost in the end. He was saying he's not really fit to be England captain.
Well, I think Pope is a good vice captain, but I don't rate him to be a captain. And that's
you're going to be stepping.
But that's the maximum capacity I think he has. He can go up to, and I don't think he's a replacement for Stokes. And maybe going forward, I think they will change that. But he is the vice captain, therefore he got the job. But just also to mention Washington Sundar. He had a great series. He's a new young player coming in, but I think he's now, picked his middle order slot for India in terms of bowling and batting, and shown his confidence that he is able to come in, in any conditions. And his 100, which was so important, which clearly the Indian captain wanted him to achieve at Old Trafford. When, if you remember, Stokes wanted to shake their hands and deny both Jadeja and Washington Sundar getting the hundreds. I think it was great that Shubman Gill, allowed them to reach their targets, because that will give them great confidence going forward. And also, I need particularly to mention Mohammad Siraj, the only guy in the end who played in all 5 Test matches. I know Chris Woke started also for England in the 5th Test match, but he was unlucky with his injury. And Mohammad Siraj, when he plays for India, he gives 110% in every Test match, and he deserves every success. Having bowled 185 overs in the 5 Test matches and taken the highest number of wickets of 23, that is a great accolade for a fast bowler who bowls at 85 miles per hour, and it's a great asset. And he really now is a senior bowler for the Indian team, along with Bumrah, and I think along with Prashid Krishna, who also came good in this series in terms of his pace and bounce, particularly at the Oval. So I think we look forward to seeing the players again pretty soon. And
Siraj was definitely the man of the series for me. I think if I remember correctly, so Gambhir had to nominate a player for England, and Baz had to nominate a player for. He nominated Gill. He won man of the series, but in my view, obviously Siraj got man of the match for the 5th match. But Siraj could have got man of the series, like you said, with 23 wickets, not 22. As Lancashire Cricket Club tried to claim in their email, trying to do India, typical.
It was 23, but he bowled 185 overs, so that's
a soldier.
That's a lot of overs.
But I was going to say, so Siraj was the one who they interviewed. DK interviewed him on the final day. He asked him about his mentality, and he said he had the word believe on his screensaver, and he got that from CR7 from Ronaldo. He's a big Ronaldo fan. he does a celebration. So he screenshotted that onto his wallpaper, and he believed that it could be done. That's why it was done, yeah? So he was up for it. Like you said, with Jamie Smith, got out early, because Smith is usually an aggressor. He looked really nervous on day 5 when it was gloomy, and the end of the day 5 was coming. Then he looked also really nervous on the final day. So he looked nervous on day 4 and day 5. But when Overton cracked the first ball for 4, a pull shot, I thought we all, I and probably many others thought it was over. And then he inside edged the second one for 4. Yeah. So it's 35, 31, 27.
27 required after the first 2 balls.
But the key was SIRAJ, because he kept going for it. And then Krishna bowled tongue. And then, you had the drama with the Wokes coming in. And then, Gus Atkinson hitting 1 for 6 and Akashdeep palming it over. But it was SIRAJ the one who soldiered them to victory. So he's the leader. That's why I think he's going to become really famous now, isn't he? Like, although he's becoming a superstar in India, like Kohli and like Dhoni, etc. Maybe not on that level, but
yeah, I mean he's rated very highly. I think he's now been ranked as the number 15 top ranked Test player. My view should be high, but of course we mustn't also forget to mention Rishabh Pant. Comeback Test series and scoring a memorable 100 in the first Test at Headingley, celebrating with his front flip on day 2. A great sight, I think, for all Indian fans around the globe, and certainly, I'm looking forward to seeing him batting and participating in all formats again. Overall, an enthralling 5 Test match series, which we will always remember, and we will, as I mentioned, we were lucky to be part of. Yeah. And
so I wanted to ask you an interesting question. If you were to swap captains, so let's just say hypothetically, Stokes was the captain of India. I know he's English, well, he's not even English, he's Kiwi, and Gill was the captain of England. Do you think England would have won the series, or if Gill was their captain, or do you think India would have won the series, hypothetically?
Well, as I mentioned in I think our previous podcast, England currently have the best captain I feel in the world in Stokes, and they also got the best batsman in terms of Joe Root. India came into the series with the best bowler, which was Bumrah, but unfortunately, he only played 3 Test matches, and out of the 3, out of the 3, 2 he played in, they lost, and they drew 1. So, there's a question mark whether he was 100% fit to play in this series after the back injury he suffered, and he came into. Maybe there's a lot of pressure, but they said initially he would only play 3 Test matches, and so they stuck to their guns. Unlike Stokes, we also know that he's injury prone, and one of the reasons I think he got injured because he perhaps overdid it, and nobody can stop him, particularly in the 4th Test match at Old Trafford when India played out that draw and battered out the 5 sessions. It took a lot out of the players and the team, and hence the 3 changes they made. And I think the team selection, their question marks would have to be asked. Bringing in Bethel into their side, who hasn't played much cricket, perhaps he's not up to the scratch. And secondly, bringing in Jamie Overton, again, who hasn't played much cricket. So, there are question marks over bringing these 3 individuals. Gus Atkinson came into the side. He did well. He was very accurate and managed to get 5 wickets. So, going forward, I think he will be included in the England side for the Ashes Test match. I'm not sure about Overton and Bethel at this stage. So, as I mentioned, it was a fantastic series, and one we will remember certainly for a long, long time. And
but the question was if Gill was England's captain, and if Stokes was India's captain, do you think India would have won, or do you think England would have won had they swapped hypothetically?
I think it's it's just not the captaincy. I think if you remember, Gill didn't win any of the tosses, and even that plays a part. So certainly the conditions at the Old Trafford Test match, if I remember, winning the toss there was key. England decided to put India in, and they had the best conditions at the time to bowl at, and the next day, of course, the sun was out. So there's a number of issues which play a part. So it was nice to see that senior players like Rahul and Jadeja were helping and supporting Shubman Gill during this Test match series, because it's not one man job. Even when Ollie Pope took responsibility of being the captain at the Oval, he had senior players. Root was there with him, supporting him, along with one or two others, because it's very difficult to captain a side, and also if you're a batsman, to score the runs. And at the end of the series, Shubman Gill was the highest run scorer for India at 754, and he managed to get a draw out of the series. So overall, it's I think a great outcome for him, because he didn't lose the series, and he managed to score nearly 800 runs, which was a record. Yeah. So my view is, I think he can only improve from there. But I also like the setup with Gambhir and the people behind him, when there was some aggro and they didn't stand for any nonsense, and all these teams stood up and told it as it was. Particularly at the last Test match, when they were inspecting the ground, and the groundsman didn't want to see them, 3 meters, and told them to stand 3 meters away around the rope. When same instructions weren't given to the England captain, and they didn't stand for that, and they let England know, and didn't let them get away with it. And so I'm pleased that the setup there, not just Gambhir, but all of the team there, not prepared to take any nonsense from anybody, and they know what their rights are. In the match where Stokes wanted to shake their hands and call it a day, again they were well within their rights of what they did to carry on. Yeah, it's not a case that that's what they had to do, but they did what they think was right at the time. So I'm pleased to see this setup, this modern day players who will be proactive and not reactive. We need proactive captains, we need proactive coaches, and we need proactive team players in the side, because that makes a huge difference too.
Don't forget, it was actually Swarov Gangu who started that with his shirt off for the NatWest series. Fine, he was very aggressive. Yeah. They showed in the film room. Nasser and David Lloyd were watching.
I believe that was at Lord's.
Yeah, if I remember, the final. Yeah, so they were watching that game, and Nasser said that India were a very fiery team then. Yeah. With Sehwag and etc. and Yuvraj and so India very aggressive now. Like I said, from there, then you had Kohli come through. Siraj is aggressive. Bumrah is even aggressive. Even Prasidh Krishna towards Root, Wash to an extent, where he's let the bat do the talking when they were giving him stick and all that. So the India players this generation now, they don't get run over. Even when they went to Australia and won there 2-1 with Gill. Siraj was there. Don't forget, Pant was an integral part of that. And I have to say, I didn't like Gambhir before because he had beef with Kohli. Now I have respect for him because he stood up, against that stupid groundsman guy. And I think Kohli will have some respect for him as well. And I think
his attitude is now rubbing off. And the players are also accepting that. And particularly if you remember, was in this particular Test match, the first innings, Prasidh Krishna having a go at Joe Root, something we've never seen. But again, that was
in this match.
Yeah, the first innings, and I believe that was also a setup just to get Root rattled, and it worked because they managed to get him out. And there I think came also behind the scenes. Coaches gave instructions that, don't let him, I know he's the best test player in the world, don't let him settle, get him outside his box, and that's exactly what they did. And so, I look forward to the India's next series, the Asia Cup, starting on the 9th of September in the UAE, and that'll be one-day games. So until then, I think it's.
One other thing I wanted to ask you was, so obviously we mentioned Jaddu, we mentioned. Do you think England could have played? I keep mentioning, like Sakib Mahmood. Why? Also, we have to mention this. Like England, every single player was white in the last game. He had Archer come in, Bashir, whatever. There has to be questions raised. England's setup. You got so many brown and Gale talented players. I've played county cricket myself and I've seen it for myself. Where are they all for England? Surely there's an abundance of Pakistani, Indian, Bengali, Sri Lankan players. Where the hell are they?
I'm surprised Jamie Overton came ahead of Sakib Mahmood when he's had success and he's got the pace and so on, and why he's been overlooked and didn't play that game. But that's a fair question, and one day maybe we'll find the answer. But
we know the answer. We know the Yorkshire scandal, don't we? The racism and all that.
Yeah. We know that's part of the answer, but it didn't help England with the changes they made, because I believe two of the selections were totally inadequate and wrong in my view, and it's cost them the fifth Test match. So
I do have to say that I like the England commentators. Wardy, Athers, Nasser, Broad as well. So I love the banter. Broad was very fair with his comments. I have to say that.
Very knowledgeable, and the way it comes across, I think, and don't forget he's relinquished Test cricket very recently, but the way he analyses the game, and he's a very quick thinker, and I think going forward he'd be a tremendous coach for the England side, because he's very knowledgeable. Now, whether he goes into coaching, because he's already doing commentary work and so on, and he's a natural at it. So maybe he should stick to that. So. Yeah.
And shout out to DK and to Big Ravi as well. Yeah, Ravi's always there at the toss, isn't it? So
at the end, they were saying they were looking at all the commentators, and I think DK and Ravi were the two outsmarted even the English commentators from the point of view of knowledge and the way they come across, and of course the presentation. And good luck to them.
DK's outfit, yeah.
Yeah, and good luck to them. And so I think they did England on that front too.
One final thing is I saw Rohit Bhai there at the final test at Oval. Yeah, I don't know if Kohli was there, but I was disappointed that Kohli didn't show his face. You would have liked to see Kohli make an appearance.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it would have been nice for Kohli to support the Indian team. I know he does. He has a presence here in London and so on, and whether he was out of the country, I'm not sure, but of course it's always been nice, if he's around the Indian team, because people like I think Ravi Bhai and DK certainly do have an input, and give advice, and these are all sort of players whom India's team setup can learn a lot from. So people are then very invaluable, and any advice, support they can get from these type of players, I think it can only be good for the India setup. So until then, it's over and out.
Right, just before that as well. So you mentioned, we were just talking about Kohli. One other thing I wanted to ask just before we end was, do you think the series? What would you have predicted at the beginning of the series? So it's 2-2 in the end. How would you have predicted compared to what it turned out to be before the series coming in? What would you have predicted?
Well, I think I think a 2-2 is a fair result. The first 3 Test matches, India had the opportunity to win all 3 Test matches, but once they'd gone behind 2-1, after they were unable to chase down a very low total of 192, which was very disappointing for me, with England having chased double that. If I remember, 382 they had to get, and they managed to secure that. And India were unable to get 192, and I think the reason for that is because they didn't show any intent. And at at Old Trafford, where they were going for the draw, it wasn't just a case of their defending. They had intent. Put the bad ball away, and in the end they managed to get that lead at Old Trafford. Yeah, which made the difference. And it's not a case of just defending. They're quite capable, and England do that very well. They change the gears, and players like Harry Brook can do it, Stokes can do it, and 1 or 2 other players, Crawley can do it. When they need to score quickly, then they're ahead in the game, because it's not just the runs they score, but how quickly they score them. Which gives them the opportunity to win a lot of Test matches, and they don't really go for draws. So, I think when the time is right, India also need to learn from that, and sometimes they need to play those sort of innings, because all these players play in the IPL and they're quite capable, and they have to take the chance.
Just a note on Jaiswal as well, because he's got his 100 in the first Headingley, and the oval as well.
Yeah, so he started off well, got 100 at Headingley, and then of course he got his 100 at the oval. So in between, is where he lost out, and with Archer playing, and the pace, and also the bounce which Archer was getting in the 4th Test match, clearly something he needs to work on. But I did notice that he was leaving the balls, in the 5th Test matches, which is what an opener's got to do. That's his job. And being an opener is the hardest thing in the batting lineup. And this is where, as I mentioned, Jaiswal and Rahul with the new ball, take a lot of responsibility and courage to allow players at 3, 4, 5 and 6 to come in and score runs. One question mark India still have is the number 3 position, because they've tried out a few players, Karun Nair and Sai Sudarshan, but I'm not sure if either of them are the right players. Number 3 is a key position, and I think they still need to look for a proper number 3. In my view, none of them are good enough to be the number 3 at the moment. So that's one area going forward. They need to find, a good number 3, because that's a key position in the team. Number 3 and 4 key. Shubman Gill comes in at 4, so we need to have a proper number 3. And let's see if they can find somebody else like Shirish Iyer, who can come into the Test reckoning, and because he can play defensively, he can also play aggressively, and he's like a Harry Brook. He's not going to come off every time, but when he does, India can win those games, and I think they need a player like Harry Brook, in their side at that spot. So let's see.
And one final message. What would your message to Dhoni be after the series?
Well, I think Dhoni's having a bit of a rest, but behind the scenes, who knows? We'll probably see him in the 2026 IPL. He hasn't announced his retirement.
What would your message be to him?
Well, my message to him is that I'm sure he can have some input into the Indian team, in particular with the young players, and he can come in as a mentor, and he'd be a very useful individual to come in as part of the coaching setup and be a mentor for the Indian team, because he's good at those roles, and maybe we can utilise him, and why not?
But then again, he does deserve to relax after the immense pressure he's felt his whole life maybe he wants to step out the spotlight.
Well, that's his choice, and maybe that's what he's decided to do. But it's not a case of 12 months of the year. He can do that for 8-9 months of the year. In 1 or 2 months, if he wants to assist, I'm sure he could make time for that. So we're not asking him to do that for the whole year. It's a case of as and when. So
maybe you two could link up, yeah.
We leave it to. So that's my message to MS. I'm hope he'll be watching this podcast and keep in touch.
Maybe you can help.
Keep in touch, MS. I look forward to speaking with you.
You can link up with him and discuss plans, yeah.
Indeed. And until then, it's over and out, and it's goodbye for me, and it's goodbye for him.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. So that was just our 5-match analysis. We're going to be looking to analyse more Test matches and the T20 and the 50 over series next year in 2026, and we'll certainly be analysing India's upcoming Test matches against Australia, South Africa, and the other big nations. So yeah, it's been fun. This is the Godfather of Cricket right here. This is our other assistant in the matter, very important, Mango.
He's still learning.
So
he's still learning the game, and he enjoys the company. Yeah. Is that right, Mango?
Yeah. Wait,
what?
India should have won 4-0. I know, but England shouldn't have won any games. Yeah, I know they shouldn't have won any games, but that's the reality in the end. Anyway, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you soon. Yeah.
See you soon.
All right.
Bye. Bye.